IRE'S song, Pilot Prophecy, written by Kristen Nedopak. Teaser. On a black screen, an inhuman female voice whispers in an ancient tongue.
Falling, stair, shower.
Exterior, various shots of Ireland, 1829 dusk. Image, pan over the dark sea to a green island covered in patches of thick mist. We dive and vanish into the mist to
Fled, fear, Dorka.
Image, a forest out of a fairy tale. A setting sun illuminating majestic trees that reach up to the heavens.
Trebloid, agus, dorchatas.
Image, Ka! A swarm of ravens in a tree scream. The blackbirds take flight. One raven soars across rolling hills to
Tagan, storm, bias.
Exterior, Beaumont Garden, dusk. Super, County Cork, Ireland, 1829. A lush expanse of garden with groomed shrubs and labyrinth-like paths sitting behind the Beaumont family's majestic estate home. A mystical ancient oak with thick winding branches jetting out in every direction at the center. The raven silently lands on a branch of the old tree, a silhouette against a full moon gracing the pale pink sky.
Ardort, 3 agus, 3, scene.
Under the tree, Josephine Beaumont, Irish, 30s, kneels in a stone circle, eyes closed, a burning candle in her hand. Despite her regal appearance, she looks at home in nature, a goddess of the forest kneeling on grass in a fine silk dress.
Dunat, dorchatas, as radhark.
Ka! Ka! Her eyes shoot open. She looks up at the raven. Eyes flood with sadness, then sharpen with devoted resolve. Thunder booms in the distance. A breeze begins to blow. She sets the flickering candle down next to a ceremonial blade and other items in an altar. She turns her face to Mary Beaumont, half Irish English accent, 5, spinning around the garden nearby, giggling like well-off little girls do. Her fiery red mane wisping around her face. A motherly smile crosses Josephine's lips.
Come here, Mary. Quickly, child.
Mary approaches with one last giggle. Josephine holds out a hand, opening her palm. Inside sits an amber ring with a symbol engraved in wood layered over the stone. 3 ravens intertwined in a circle.
Your good luck charm.
Mary takes the ring, eyeing it like treasure. Jo clasps her hand around Mary's, closing her fingers around the ring.
It is yours now. Keep it safe. Will you be brave for me?
Mary smiles wide and nods. Her mother caresses her cheek. Josephine glances over her shoulder at the mansion looming like a dark shadow behind them. Fear creeps into her eyes. She turns back, taking a deep breath. Her hand moves to the blade, grasping it with determination. She slices her palm. Fresh blood drips across ivory skin. Mist begins to pour in around them. She pulls Mary in front of her, raising bloody hands to her temples. Mary stands tall and brave. Josephine's voice booms.
O Morgan, goddess of war, ruler of fate, your prophecy is upon us.
Caw! The raven cries above before it's swallowed by mist.
Let ancient blood pass through your gates. Open her eyes to your glory.
The world goes beautifully silent. Then, Mary gasps. Her eyes shoot open. Her pupils dilate wide. We tunnel into those eyes, into the darkness, into exterior Beaumont Garden, day, other world. Mary's eyes wide open. They dart around. They're in the same garden, in front of the same tree, but it's much different. This world looks like ours, but more vivid and warped. The grass, brighter green, pulsing, orbs of light float through the flower beds. An unnaturally cyan blue sky above. The world shimmers and glows, alive, surreal, otherworldly. Thunder booms. The oak tree whispers in response. Mary's eyes scale up the tree. It seems taller, more powerful. Shimmering green leaves bustle in the wind. Caw! 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 A disturbingly massive swarm of ravens circle above the tree. Mary watches them, uneasy.
Don't be afraid. They are friends.
Where are we?
Her world. Listen to me, child.
She glances over her shoulder. Thunder booms. Closer.
We don't have much time.
Josephine moves to Mary's side, her voice tense but kind, choosing her words carefully for a child to understand.
You and I come from a very old family. We have special gifts. We see what others cannot. We can call upon the earth, the sea, and the sky to work by our side.
Joe raises a hand. Leaves begin swirling around them, controlled by an unseen force. In Mary's eyes, pure awe.
We can speak to the ancient trees. Like books, we use them to keep knowledge safe. This oak holds the greatest of wisdom, a prophecy so important it could not be written down for fear of falling into the hands of very bad men. Men who want to use our gifts for chaos and destruction.
Thunder booms above them, the sound carrying into interior Beaumont bedroom, dusk, human world. A man's hand pulls back a lace curtain, revealing the two of them in the garden below in front of the tree. On one finger sits a dark ruby red ring. The hand abruptly vanishes. Exterior Beaumont garden, day, other world.
Why?
So they can rule like gods. For centuries they have been twisting the minds of corrupt men to control and abuse us. Fear feeds their power. Before it is over, they will unleash a storm of death so great, even the goddess cannot stop it. But in the darkness, she has seen light. She has seen you, Mary. Use your magic to end their reign.
Interior Beaumont stairway, dusk, human world. Lightning flashes on several pairs of black shoes under black cloaks marching down the stairs in unison. Exterior Beaumont garden, day, other world. A flash of lightning in the sky reflects in Mary's wide eyes.
But I don't have magic.
You do. You must learn how to use it. Or our people will die. Let the goddess guide you. Find your way back to this world, to the tree. The prophecy is your key. Keep this oak and this land safe no matter what. Do you understand me?
Delayed lightning crackles above. Mary jumps, startled.
I don't know.
Interior Beaumont hallway, dusk, human world. Black shoes under black cloaks stride through a hallway. Exterior Beaumont garden, day, other world. Caw, caw, ravens cry, flapping their wings. The wind picks up and whips their hair around. Jo glances back, her breathing labored, panic in her eyes. She takes Mary by the shoulders.
Oh, I need more time. I wish I could stay, child, but you will not be alone. 2 others will come to help you. Bells will mark their arrival, 3 to fulfill prophecy.
Mary's eyes start to water. She shakes with fear.
You are scaring me.
Be brave. For me, I believe in you.
Exterior Beaumont garden, dusk, human world. Glass doors swing open. Black shoes step onto a dirt path. Exterior Beaumont garden, day, other world. Josephine cups Mary's face in her hands. Tears fall, pained.
And daughter, be careful who you trust. You will find the love you long for so dearly in this life. But he will betray you in the end.
Josephine gasps. Pausing in mid-sentence, ravens screech above. The world suddenly twists back to the human world. Exterior Beaumont garden, dusk. They're in the garden. Wind, thunder, lightning. Mary stares at her mother's stoic face. Then blood pours from Josephine's mouth, and her body topples to the side with a blade in her back. Mary's eyes go wide, and she screams.
Mother!
Chaotic lightning flashes on. Jonathan Beaumont, English, 30s, her father standing rigid, his jaw hanging wide. His eyes reveal the need to always do what's right. Behind him, a group of men draped in black. Fear Dorka, the dark men. Their faces hidden under black hats. It begins to rain hard. Jonathan snaps out of his stupor, bolting to Mary, diving to his knees.
Mary, you all right, child?
Her body trembles. Her eyes stare at her mother's corpse. Shocked, pained, confused. No words come out. Jonathan reaches up to touch her blood-covered temples.
God have mercy.
Men approach from behind. Cloaks swirl in the unnatural wind. Jonathan glances over his shoulder, then to Mary's innocent face. He has the look of a father who knows his child's life is in danger. He grits his teeth.
Not you.
Exterior, interior carriage, Beaumont land, traveling, dusk. Lightning slices through trees. A horse-drawn carriage speeds down a road, kicking up mud. Rain smashes down all around. Mary presses her face to the carriage window. The raven soars behind, whipping through the trees, but it can't keep up. She watches the bird get smaller and disappear into the night. Exterior church, rural English village, day. Super, Glastonbury, England. Torrential rain. A carriage flies down a dirt road to a modest stone church in the middle of nowhere. Mary is ushered out of the carriage by her father. Jonathan glances back over his shoulder, paranoid. A priest and nun with a permanent scowl on her face run out. Jonathan pulls the priest aside and speaks into his ear. The man eyes Mary, concerned. He glances at the nun. She shakes her head no. Jonathan pulls out a large purse, setting it into the man's hand as rain drenches them. The man hesitates, eyeing the purse. He lowers his head and performs the sign of the cross. He gestures to the nun to take Mary. The woman grabs her collar, dragging her inside. Mary squirms to get away. In her eyes, confusion and fear. She screams.
Father! Father!
Jonathan watches, his eyes filled with painful tears. The double doors slowly close on our view of him forever. Cut to black screen. End teaser. Act 1.
Some days are more difficult.
Fade in. Interior same church, chapel room. Present day, 1845. Super. Glastonbury, England, 1845, 16 years later. A cramped room with a giant cross above a gaudy altar. Mary, 21, sits in a pew reading a hidden book. Her set jaw reveals an unyielding stubbornness. Her keen eyes, intellect beyond her years. A tamed facade with the fierceness of a caged warrior, waiting for her moment of freedom beneath.
Living in a house of God that feels more like hell. A prisoner.
Other girls her age sit as far away as possible, praying, a cold space between them. Mary glances at a girl who glares.
Knowing I don't belong here. 16 years ago today, I saw my mother for the last time.
Black shoes under a long black robe stride up the aisle.
Her words still play in my mind.
We have special gifts. Magic.
Black shoes continue to stride, echoing in the silence.
If I had special gifts, I would be far from this place, free to live my own life. No, I'm not special at all. I'm simply alone.
Mary sneaks something out of her pocket. The amber ring. She fingers it. A church bell rings. Disappointment on her face.
No one is coming to help me.
Footsteps stop. Mary glances up. The nun from before, much older, stands at the edge of the pew, her face cold as ice.
You have been sent for.
Interior Mary's room, day. A barren room with a small cot covered in books. Mary stuffs them into a leather satchel at a frantic pace. Her ability to pack reveals zero street sense for survival outside.
I do not agree you should be set free. We have not yet cleansed your soul. Evil lurks. I feel it.
A black and white photo slips from one of the books. Mary smiles in her mother's arms. She pauses, eyes longing. Mary stuffs it in her bag and heads for the door. She tries to pass the nun. The woman blocks her, threat in her voice.
Should you try to tempt others with sin, God will return you to us.
Mary grits her teeth, stepping up to the nun's face, defiant.
You no longer have control over me.
To think I was about to be kind. Your father is dead.
Mary pauses, letting her words sink in. Her eyes struggle to find an emotion for the news. She does. Her eyes freeze over.
Good.
She shoves her way past the woman. Exterior church, English countryside, day. Mary flies out through the doors like a prisoner seeing daylight for the first time. Relief, hope, freedom. Smash cut to exterior docks, Cork Harbour, Ireland, day. A packet ship's ramp crashes onto a dock. Super, County Cork, Ireland. Working class sailors flood the dock with ropes, tying the ship in place. They begin unloading cargo onto a dock, bustling with elegantly dressed English mixed with grubby working Irish. They yell to one another in Irish Gaelic. Passengers flow down the ramp. As Mary reaches the dock, she pauses. Rolling green hills ending in rocky cliffs surround the water in a half-circle bay stuffed with merchant ships. Her eyes land on a young English couple cuddling. She watches them, her face glazing over with longing until whispers fill the air. She snaps back to reality, confused.
You look just like my dear wife when she was a young lass.
Mary spins to see a grubby old Irishman with a stick serving as a makeshift cane. He holds a cup out to her, smiling.
So pretty. Bit of help for an old man, forgotten by the world.
Mary is taken in by his kind face, and she smiles back.
You were too kind, sir.
She reaches into her purse and pulls out a handful of coins, and just as she's about to drop them into his cup, Hands grab the man's shoulders and shove him to his knees. The coins drop and hit the dock with a clink. A hand reaches down to retrieve them. We follow it up to a stone face. Captain Jasper Ellis's cold eyes meet Mary's. He opens his palm to reveal the coins.
I believe these are yours, madam.
He sets them in her hand. Confusion spreads across her face. Ellis turns to the Irishman, now surrounded by a group of English soldiers holding him down. His voice superior.
You insult the fine English woman, Catholic scum.
The Irishman glances up at Mary with fear in his eyes. Then the soldiers beat the shit out of him, right there on the docks. Ellis watches, without fear. Mary dives in to help.
Wait! Stop!
The soldiers block her from reaching the man. She stumbles back, eyes furious, helpless. No one else seems to care. They yank the Irishman's barely moving body up and drag him away by his arms. His bloodied stick lay on the dock. Ellis turns back to Mary with a chiding look.
Do not encourage the dogs, madam. They will eventually bite.
Watching her from behind, a black cloak flaps in the breeze. Ellis turns to leave. Mary huffs. As she opens her mouth,
Madam Beaumont.
she spins around. A well-dressed English coachman in a top hat and black cloak stands. He respectfully bows deep.
I am here to escort you home.
She eyes him, then turns back to Ellis. He's gone. Exterior, Beaumont Big House, day. An enclosed horse-drawn carriage speeds down a familiar tree-lined path and slows to arrive at its destination. The big house sits in all its grandeur. A giant staircase flanked by antique pillars leads up to an epic stone mansion. Servants stand at attention as if holding the front of a battle line, their faces failing to mask excitement. Garrett Alford, the master's valet, a fatherly Englishman with a kind yet stern face and not a wrinkle to be seen on his uniform, breaks from the front of the line and glides to the carriage door. He opens it, reaching a hand out. Mary breathes, takes his hand, then steps out. The moment her foot touches earth, whispers fill the air. She pauses, confused. Alfred moves into view, smiling wide.
Welcome, madam.
Good morning, Mr. Alford.
Alfred snaps for a servant to take Mary's satchel of books.
No, I have it.
The servant pauses. He eyes her bag. His hands twitch, but he restrains himself. Alfred lets it pass, waving him away.
Madam.
Just Mary, please.
Miss Mary, allow me to escort you inside.
Mary glances at the estate. She shifts, preparing herself.
Splendid. I barely remember this place.
Interior Beaumont entryway, day. The door opens into a large entryway with high ceilings and decorated walls. Wealth is echoed in the carved wood, rich furniture and worldly decor. Glass doors lead to the garden. Alfred leads Mary inside to tour her around.
If you recall, the kitchens are through there. No need to ever step foot in them, of course. That is your father's study. This is the drawing room.
Mary's eyes spot something of interest and she wanders off. Interior, Beaumont's study, day. The quaint room is surrounded by shelves of old books. Mary walks over to glide her fingers across a row, her face giddy. She turns to plop her satchel on a carved wood desk and notices a crumpled slip of paper. She picks it up and reads. A receipt from the Glastonbury Church in England. Alfred enters. He spots the slip in Mary's hand. His eyes widen. He dashes over, reaching for it.
I'll take that.
Is this payment to the church?
Do not mind it, miss.
He reaches and slips it from her fingers, then swiftly tucks it into his coat pocket.
There we are. This receipt has served its purpose.
What purpose is that?
An uncomfortable expression crosses his face. He whips out a cloth to wipe a spotless desk in a distracting manner.
I'm merely saying I'm grateful to have found you.
Found me? You did not know where I was?
It does not matter now, miss.
He moves to wipe a row of books, trying to avoid inquisition. Mary steps between him and the bookshelf.
So, it was you who sent for me?
He pauses. He doesn't have to answer. Mary turns her face.
It has been a hard few months.
Try 16 years.
Had I the power to bring you home earlier, I would have. But I did find you just in time.
Mary's eyes spark away from inner turmoil, questioning.
In time for what?
Do not wish to throw all of this on you at once, but your father was gone for months, before word came that he passed. Though very unlike him, he had neglected the business. Exports were not going out. The shipping firm was not paid. They are considering ceasing his partnership. Without trade, there is no money. We need someone to get us back on track.
His eyes desperate. Mary tries to comprehend all of this.
You want me to manage the estate?
Oh, heavens, no. But it will be the perfect dowry for someone who can.
Mary's cheeks flush pink with self-consciousness, her voice anxious and uncomfortable.
A husband? I just arrived. I need time. I am not ready for...
Miss, if I may say, you've grown into a lovely young woman that any man would be blessed to have. But given the situation, I advise you to act quickly. This land is your only asset, and it is in turmoil.
Whispers fill the air. Mary's eyes dart, the sounds adding to her anxiety. She bites her lip, considering, longing. Maybe?
Who did you have in mind?
Oh dear, I'm merely your valet. That choice is up to you. However, you might meet the perfect gentleman here this evening.
What?
When the gentry heard you were unexpected, they demanded an introductory event. I saw an opportunity, a dinner party.
Here. This evening.
He snaps. An English lady's maid over. She steps up with a cheerful smile. Mary tries to speak, but Alford nudges her.
You must act quickly. Now let us get you settled so you can prepare yourself. Don't worry. I have everything else taken care of.
His eyes meet hers, a fatherly, reassuring smile.
We are happy to have you home.
Interior, Beaumont entryway, day. The maid guides Mary through the entryway. As they pass the glass doors leading to the garden, she pauses, looking out. Ravens circle above the tree. Whispers morph into words.
Find your way back to this world, to the tree. Keep this oak and this land safe, no matter what.
Suddenly, the tree sparkles. Mary's eyes widen. Smash cut to exterior village, Beaumont land, day, vision, future. Caw, caw, caw! Ravens circle above an English flag flapping on a post above a run-down hovel, screaming, wailing. Mary spins around. An Irish family is being dragged out of their hovel by armed English soldiers as a battering ram demolishes the building, smoke rising from the devastation.
They have been twisting the minds of corrupt men to control and abuse us. Fear feeds their power.
A mother holding a baby grabs a soldier's arm, pleading. He whacks her across the face with his rifle. She crashes to the ground. Shocked, Mary moves to her, but someone grabs her. She spins to see Captain Ellis from the docks.
Use your magic to end their reign.
His cold grin, the butt of his rifle flies towards her face. End vision. Interior Beaumont entryway, day. Eyes glued open, Mary gasps, shocked, confused, afraid.
Madam?
She blinks, realizing she's still in her home. She takes a deep breath, a glance out at the tree. The ravens are gone. Exterior village, Beaumont land, day. An intimate village crammed with tiny hovels made out of mud and thatched roofs sits between rolling green hills. An open space at its center serving as a main square. Rats scurry between frail buildings about to collapse. Downtrodden Irish townsfolk shuffle around with empty carts and baskets. Skeleton-like faces are bony, bodies dirty, half naked in ratted cloth. A woman sits in dirt, her breast dangling for a crying baby. The scene reeks of overwhelming destitution. A group of Irishmen parade into view with pride-filled swaggers as if they own the place, though their clothing is only slightly more intact than the villagers' garb. Connor Ryan, early 30s, leads the pack. Though his resentful eyes and sunken shoulders tell of a lifetime living at the bottom, his tough guy exterior shows he's a man willing to do anything to protect what little he has. He stops. His eyes scan the townsfolk. They dip their heads, avoiding eye contact. Interior Irish hovel, day. A dark, barren hut with little space for much houses a few blocks of tree trunk for a table and stools. Hay is spread out in one corner as a bed, covering a natural earth floor. A poor Irish wife runs in through a back door, holding a raggedy-looking carrot in her hand. She beams.
We are blessed.
Her husband jumps off a stool, grabbing the carrot as if it was gold. The two of them kneel on the floor in praise.
We thank you for this gift.
Off-screen, the door slams open. They jump. Connor and his men menacingly step into the room, crowding the cramped space with more bodies. With a forced, tough guy facade, he approaches the couple. He glances at the carrot.
Prince do.
The husband rises and takes a small pouch from his pocket. Connor yanks it out of his hand, looking inside. He glares at the man, holding the pouch upside down, empty. The man babbles with excuses, trying to sound optimistic.
Harvest is late this year. I won't have any money until the crops are ready. Need a little more time.
Connor stares the man down, unblinking. His men approach from behind, looking like a poor Irish gang. The man cowers.
It'll be any day now.
Connor reaches across the man to grab the carrot. He stuffs it into his pocket. The wife clenches onto his pant leg.
It's all we have to eat.
Interest for being late.
Connor turns to leave. As he exits,
I'll be back in 2 days. Pray harvest comes before then, or we can find somewhere else to live.
his men look tough, following him out, slamming the door. Exterior village, alley, day. A narrow side alley, houses crammed together down its length. The men exit the hovel, Connor leading the pack. Men share fearful glances behind them as they walk, in English.
None of them have any money, boss. If we don't collect soon, Beaumont won't be letting us keep our homes neither. You know more than anyone eviction is certain death.
Fear flashes across Connor's face, but he hides it, turning.
You heard him. Harvest will be any day now. Then we'll get the money.
I sure hope so. Potato stock is empty. Family is hungry.
Connor forces a confident visage, his voice reassuring.
Soon. Trust me. I can feel it. You boys can go home for today.
The men look comforted. They give respectful nods and leave. Connor looks down at the empty pouch in his hand. His eyes show he isn't just worried, he's terrified. He glances across the road at an empty trade stand. A rough-looking Irish tradesman stands with nothing to buy or sell. Connor reaches into his pocket for the carrot. He fingers it. He looks at the stand. His eyes struggle with the decision. He slips the carrot back into his pocket and turns to take in the shithole world around him. A frustrated exhale.
Any day now.
He heads toward a rickety donkey-pulled cart, hopping on. Exterior, Connor's farm, day. A small sod cottage sits on a half-acre farm with rows of potato crops forming a front yard. A lush green hillside covered with cows surrounds the farm. A wooden fence clearly separating the untouchable livestock from the potatoes. Connor's cart wiggles up the dirt path leading home. Just as he reaches the cottage, crack! The cart jolts sideways. He jumps down to see the wheel broken in half. He shakes his head, heads for the door. Interior, Connor's home, day. A small main room with a fireplace marks a step up from the tenants' huts. Chairs flank a simple wood table. Candles and other mystical items sit atop a windowsill, forming an altar. Connor mopes in, exhausted after another long, hard day. Lily Ryan, 5, runs in from the bedroom with fresh lavender in her hand, bear-hugging his leg. She's as cute as a button, even in her ragged dress and slippers badly needing repair.
Papa!
No excitement in his voice, his mood still dark from the day.
Who's my fairy princess?
I am.
He goes through the motions. He ruffles her hair absently, pulls off his worn coat and tosses it on a chair. Lily yanks on his sleeve, trying to get his attention.
What is it?
I have a surprise for you.
She pulls the lavender behind her back to hide the bunch. The corners of Connor's mouth curl up. He's already seen the flowers. He squats to her level, playing along.
Oh, do you now?
Guess what it is?
He runs his fingers over his chin, pretending to think.
Is it a horse?
She shakes her head no.
Is it the moon?
No, silly.
She whips the flowers out, smacking him in the face. Lavender buds fly everywhere, including into his mouth. She giggles, thinking it's hilarious. He spits them out, grinning.
Look at these. Fancy.
She rambles like little kids do when they try to explain.
You were sad, so I got purple flowers because you said they are from the goddess and bring good luck, and I want you to be happy and have good luck.
She could not look more proud of herself, smiling wide. He looks at the flowers, then at Lily, a genuine smile. His dreary mood from the hell outside these walls lifting. He takes the bundle and kisses her on the forehead, this time fully present. He rises as he speaks, replacing the dried sprigs in the vase on the windowsill with her flowers.
Thanks to you, I did have good luck today. And I have a surprise too.
He pauses at the altar, glancing at a sketch of a woman with long, dark, flowing hair. He runs a finger over the drawing.
What is it? What is it?
He turns, dips into his coat pocket, and pulls something out. He crouches and unveils the carrot. Lily's eyes widen.
Half tonight, half tomorrow, eh? That's all we got for a bit.
She nods, grabs it, and takes a huge bite. He rises to stand, and she yanks on his sleeve. He turns back.
Sing yous home too, Papa?
He raises an eyebrow. Her cute face peers up, pleading. He lets out a long, teasing note. He pauses. She smiles. He grins. Then he sings a fast-paced tune in Irish. Lily claps and twirls around the room, her raggedy dress flowing around her, carrot in hand. He watches her, smiling. Then he dives to one knee, hands up, beating out a verse. She jumps up and down, laughing. He grabs her, twirling her around. Father and daughter dance and sing with joy. Interior Beaumont drawing room, night. A woman's fingers, covered in expensive rings, plays a piano. The room is large, filled with fine rugs, art on walls, antique vases, and old statues. A grand piano in the corner. Lavishly dressed English gentry converse in groups. Gentlemen smoke cigars across the room. Women gossip in lush chairs. Though Mary's posture reflects confident refinement, she glances around to validate her facade is working. Two young women gossip about their only life goal, marriage.
I hear there's a dashing young noble in the area.
Is he a bachelor?
Lydia spotted him, and she did not see a ring or a wife. Not that it matters for us. He is nobility.
The woman leans in, speaking sultry into her friend's ear.
I could catch a nobleman in my snare if I wanted to. After all, men with power only want one thing.
The women giggle like schoolgirls. Mary rolls her eyes. Exterior carriage, countryside, traveling, night. A man's muffled moans come from inside a traveling carriage. Interior carriage, countryside, traveling, night. Colonel Peyton Hurst, 50s, leans back, moaning as the head of a young woman bobs up and down in his lap. He wears a decorated English uniform under a black cloak and has a face that has seen many years of service to his country. His eyes roll back. He groans in ecstasy. The orgasm takes a toll on the old man, and he gasps like a smoker needing air. He flops back, happy as a pig in shit.
Did I please you, sir?
His eyes slit open, and he grins. Exterior carriage, Beaumont Big House, traveling, night. The carriage pulls up to the big house. Interior carriage, Beaumont Big House, night. Hurst reaches into his pocket and pulls out a vial of opium. He gulps, the drug's immediate effect seen in his eyes. The woman casually reaches out to grab the vial. With lightning-fast reflexes, he catches her fingers and twists them backwards with a loud crack. She yelps in pain. He watches her squirm and cry out, but he doesn't let go. His lips curl into a grin. He's enjoying this. He waits. She cries. He waits. Then his face morphs into a scowl and he releases her. She crouches, whimpering, holding her hand as he slips the vial into his pocket.
Weak.
He slicks his gray mane back. A coachman opens the door. Interior Beaumont entryway, night. Alford enters just as Hurst tosses his cloak at the butler and pulls out a cigar, lighting it. Alford bows deep.
The guests are in the drawing room.
They walk in that direction.
Old chap, how long have we known one another?
Many years, sir.
Let us celebrate new beginnings. Announce my arrival tonight.
You know the rules, Colonel.
Ah, why not make a man who has protected your country for as long as you have been alive feel good?
That right is reserved for nobility.
Hurst bursts out laughing, gasping for air.
Don't be absurd. No nobleman has or ever will step foot in this shack. I'm the best you've got.
Alfred pauses before the doorway, his face unreadable.
Do not break the rules, sir, for anyone.
Hurst's eyes narrow at the valet with suspicion. Interior Beaumont drawing room, night. Mary looks bored. An elderly dowager turns to her, giving her a quick look up and down, smiling only with her mouth.
You do not seem one for gossip here. If you don't know everyone's business all the time, your value as a wife lowers. significantly.
Thank you for such a vital tip.
The woman's mouth strains to hold a smile. She turns away. Interior Beaumont entryway, night. A grin spreads on Hurst's face. He slaps Alford on the back.
You've been in this game for as long as I have. You should work for me.
Alford bows with respect. Hurst proceeds into the room. Interior Beaumont drawing room, night. Mary, out of patience, rises and moves towards the men. Hurst enters that moment, and they nearly collide. Time slows. He exhales. A cloud of smoke rises like mist between them. Whispers in the air. Her body stiffens, a warning of danger.
You must be Madame Beaumont. Colonel Peyton Hurst. Did not expect such a pretty little thing.
His eyes scan up her body, checking out the goods. She steps back in defense. Before she can reply, he turns his back on her with disregard, moving to the men. Her lips purse.
Apologies for being tardy, gentlemen. It is never a dull moment being a loyal Queen's man.
Men murmur jolly greetings to one another, patting backs. Mary joins the group, and the men go silent. Hurst leans over, whispering into the ear of a man in spectacles who looks so straight a stone would be better company. The man glances at her with an air of expectation. Mary and the other gentlemen shift in the awkward silence.
Madam, what do you think of Ireland?
It is quite beautiful.
The hills, perhaps. The ghastly sight of the locals is repulsive.
Yet you still rent land to them.
I make money where I can.
Hurst turns back to the group. He eyes Mary like a new toy.
The Irish could vanish and no one would care. We should be using the land to grow proper crops.
Mary's eyes narrow, and she spots an opportunity to show off her mind and one-up the Colonel's ego.
Given weather conditions and the fact that grains and beef require more space and do not sustain as long, the potato seems to be the most proper crop for them to grow.
Hurst chuckles, disregarding her intelligence.
We harvest more than potatoes to support the British Empire. England desperately needs grain, not bodies taking up space. But what would a woman know about that?
Mary scowls. The man in spectacles watches her with intent.
I know that these bodies are people, Colonel.
They are Irish. You only pity them because your mother was one.
Whispers fill the air even louder. Mary's eyes cautious.
Though speaking of bodies, her figure was as luscious as yours. The idea of betting you almost makes it worth your hand.
Pardon me.
Oh, don't play games. We know you're here to find a husband to save your land, so let us see the goods. Go on, give us a spin. I've always preferred a fine backside.
He grins. Gentlemen close in around her like wild dogs over fresh meat. Mary steps back, crossing her arms to cover herself. The man in spectacles doesn't move. He watches.
She is too shy for me. I thought Irish women were bold.
They are good for breeding.
Your children would be half-blood. The land is worth more on its own.
Mary's mouth opens, aghast. She wants to speak but can't. Hurst pulls a contract out of his vest, holding it out.
So, let us get to it.
What is this?
An offer on your land. A decent one, considering. Take whatever you wish. The rest will be demolished.
She glances at the paper. Whispers invade the room.
Keep this oak and this land safe.
Be a good girl and sign it.
Stubbornness kicks in. Her chest puffs. She holds her own.
The land is not for sale.
Selling is your only option. You need saving. I'm saving you. Besides, no proper Englishman will ever marry an Irish. Only your father stooped that low.
I am not my father, and you do not control everyone, Colonel.
I control most. Sign it, and perhaps I'll throw in a few nights with me as a bonus.
I have another option. I will be managing my land myself.
You think the shipping firm will trust a girl who knows nothing about trade to bring in money? A little Irish wench like you will never survive in this business.
The men laugh. Mary clenches her teeth like an animal backed into a corner. She grabs the contract, tearing it up.
I don't care what any of you think. You are all just greedy pigs who will do anything for money. I don't need you or the firm to survive.
Hurst grins. He glances at the man in spectacles who wears a disapproving look. The man finally chimes in, insulted.
We greedy pigs are the reason you make money, which means you do need us to survive, madam. With such little knowledge or respect for how this business works, I cannot possibly see how you will keep yours afloat.
Hurst sets a hand on the man's shoulder, gloating.
This is Mr. Fuller. He is a partner with the shipping firm. Truth, he was on the fence about giving you another chance to recoup your losses, but I persuaded him to come see for himself. Why, that was a poor choice. Though I must give you all the credit for convincing him.
Mr. Fuller, I did not mean...
I have heard enough. Hurst, we will talk when the sale is final.
Fuller makes for the exit. Mary's desperate eyes scramble. She moves to chase. Hurst grabs her arm, pulling her back.
There's nothing you can do to change his mind.
Mary glares, trying to maneuver away. He pulls her in closer.
What I said was for the sake of business. You have a strength about you that I find irresistible.
Mary looks sick, lost, defeated. Then the dinner bell rings. Voices are heard in the entryway. Guests turn to see what the commotion is all about. Fuller halts, coat on, nearly out of the room. Mary turns to see Lord William Stewart, mid-20s, unexpectedly breezing into the room. Not hesitating to break the rules of propriety, he precedes the butler, who tries to scoot in front of him, without success, to make a proper announcement.
The Viscount Stewart.
William's energy fills the stale air with vibrance. His perfectly poised stance and elegant attire at odds with his rebellious, half-buttoned vest and tousled hair. Mary's breath catches at the sight of him. The women gasp, faces lighting up at nobility in their midst. William gives them a nonchalant grin, scanning the group. His eyes lock on Mary. He beelines to her. Mary's frozen. Fuller's jaw drops and he scoots back into the room. The guests bow deep as William passes, except Hurst, whose face flushes red with a combination of shock and anger.
Lord Stewart, what a surprise.
With a charming smile, William reaches a hand out to Mary.
Madame Beaumont, I take it. I have been eager to meet you.
She stares into the most beautiful, pale eyes. She absently gives her hand. He kisses it. Female guests glare jealously. Fuller steps up to William's side, removing his coat.
Perhaps I will stay for dinner.
I heard there was a party. I hope you don't mind an unexpected guest.
Mary glances at Fuller. To William. Hope rises.
Of course not, my lord.
He glances at the other guests, then holds his arm out.
May I?
Mary eyes Hurst while she loops her arm around his. William leads her past the gawking gentry. Guests awkwardly follow. Fuller makes his way in, his eyes giddy, calculating. Hurst's eyes narrow and his lips curl into a vicious sneer. Fade out. End of Act 1. Act 2. Fade in. Interior Beaumont dining room night. A hand-carved dining table is set with fine china and silver. Massive paintings of Beaumont ancestors mixed with fine art cover the walls up to the gold-trimmed high ceiling. A crystal chandelier drapes overhead. Servants make final adjustments to add a place setting. William leads Mary to her chair at the head, he to her side. Guests move to their designated seats, women sitting first. Guests snatch glances at William while servants flood the room with dishes of soup. Fuller is nearly drooling over him.
My lord, if I knew you were here, I would have offered my hospitality.
Thank you, but I must return to Dublin for a few days to take care of a matter needing my attention.
Is there an event? I thought I knew all the things happening in the city.
I'm not there for a social call.
Fuller butts in, no care for dinner party manners.
My lord, Charles Fuller. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am curious. What has brought you to Ireland?
A flash of hesitation while his eyes calculate a reply.
I am being considered for a professorship at Trinity.
An uncontrolled chortle bursts from Hurst's chest.
The heir to the Winthrop earldom, a teacher? Oh, I do admire your wit.
Mary notices William's eyes narrow for just a second.
What do you wish to teach?
Philosophy.
A sideways glance at the other guests. She grins.
Like the great Voltaire, who encouraged us to shun aristocratic ignorance and to think and speak freely for ourselves.
And to let rational thought rule our world. Though, as Plato once said, if we know only one thing, it is that we know nothing.
You are mistaken, my lord. That was Socrates.
William's grin widens. He could not be more smitten. Hurst rolls his eyes. Fuller has a one-track mind.
Does this mean your family is considering land here?
My father despises his country, though I quite like it, perhaps.
My firm is searching for reputable trade partners. This estate here will be up for purchase soon. It brings in a great deal of money.
Mary's mouth drops. Hurst's eyes bulge at the same time.
This
land is mine.
They glare at one another. William's face is unreadable. Mary turns to him, putting him to the real test.
The land is mine, and with my father gone, I have chosen to uphold the Beaumont legacy by managing the trade business myself. However, these men believe... What were your words, Colonel? A little Irish wench like me will never survive. Do you agree, Lord Stewart?
She waits, hopeful. William eyes her. Then he turns to Hurst.
Is that how you speak to a lady?
Mary breathes. Hurst's eyes rage. Fuller looks embarrassed.
I meant what?
What he meant was that our firm cannot trust a young girl who does not know anything about trade.
Mary interjects with confidence, obstructing Fuller's plan.
There are many books on the subject, and I am more proficient with numbers than anyone I know.
Books and experience are two very different things. Besides, when will you have time for socializing?
Gossiping is not my priority.
The women give one another veiled glances. William watches the exchange with intent. Hurst is too angry to speak.
The firm would be taking a risk.
I only ask for a chance to prove.
It is not your proper place.
My place is here, in my home.
You are a woman, and we cannot rely on your word.
His stern words end the cage match. Mary grits her teeth. Hurst finally leans back, relieved. In the silence,
Then you have my word.
Fuller blinks. Hurst's face drops. William speaks as if scolding a child. As he does, a grin forms on Mary's lips.
Miss Beaumont has clearly shown impeccable intelligence in your presence, not to mention her eagerness to manage her estate, land that I am certain has been in her family's name for centuries, and you offer it to me, unwilling to give her an opportunity to prove your archaic notions wrong because she wears a dress? Are we not all queen's men?
The dowager's spoon drops to her plate with a loud clink. Fuller's cheeks flush. Hurst sneers. Mary smiles. William's eyes flick to her as if to say, I've got you.
If you wish me to consider a partnership, you will let her try.
Yes, my lord. Though, even on your name, the firm will need financial assurance. At least half of the debt by the end of the week. Will your bank be providing?
No.
Everyone turns. Mary raises her chin, proud and stubborn.
This is my business, and I am capable of handling it on my own.
Fuller hesitates, glancing at William. William eyes Mary, who gives him a reassuring grin. He turns to Fuller and nods.
Very well. There is a boat leaving in 3 days. If you can manage a shipment and your payment, we will extend the full debt owed to the month's end. For you, my lord, I will waive the interest.
Plenty of time. My father's ledgers should be no trouble to master.
To your success, then.
Like robots, guests follow suit. Mary gives William a gracious smile. He smiles back. Hurst's cocky grin returns.
Those ledges will not be trouble at all, considering they are currently in my possession. If you knew anything about business, you'd have known buyers have the right to examine their future purchases.
Mary and Hurst's eyes meet. Whispers fill the air. Then the room sparkles. Her eyes widen. Smash cut to exterior Irish hillside day. Vision future. Caw! Caw! Ravens circle above in a red-orange sky. Thunder cracks loud overhead. Lightning slashes down to the earth. Mary is on a hilltop overlooking a vast green valley below, about to be taken over by a massive unnatural storm.
You have failed.
She spins. Men in black cloaks stand across the field so far she can only make out their silhouettes. Screams. Mary turns back to the hillside. A horde of raggedy Irish are crying, screaming, and running towards her. A massive wall of mist races up behind them.
They will unleash a storm of death so great, even the goddess cannot stop it.
Mary watches in horror as mist turns everything it touches, human and earth, to black dust. The horde comes at her. Eyes wide, she turns to run, but the horde is on her, pushing, shoving. She's trapped in the chaos. She falls. Bodies trip and pile on top of her. She's drowning in them.
Use your magic to end their reign.
Help! Help me! Ah!
She screams as the sky vanishes and she's enveloped in death. End vision. Interior Beaumont dining room night. Eyes glued open, Mary stares. A distant voice.
Miss Beaumont?
She gasps. Everyone is silent, staring at her. Her cheeks flush. Her shaking hands push the table away. She stands. William stands. No one else moves. She forces a smile.
Apologies. I am not feeling well.
She turns and exits. William watches her leave, concerned. Exterior Beaumont garden, night. Mary runs through the dark garden. She throws herself at the oak, clawing bark with her fingers, furious, pleading.
I don't have magic. I can't help them. I can't help anyone.
She pauses, sucking in breath, desperately waiting for a reply. Anything, silence. She slumps to her knees.
You chose the wrong person. I don't know what to do. I just want to be home.
She covers her face with her hands. Exhausted, she cries. Resigned, she finally lets go of control and surrenders.
Goddess, I need your help.
Something below catches her eye. She looks down at her pocket. It glows. She reaches inside and pulls out the amber ring. The stone glows a beautiful shade of gold. Mary's eyes widen. Caw! Her face shoots up to a raven in the tree. Its beady eyes watch her. In her eyes, awe and hope. Exterior Beaumont Big House, night. A black cloak flaps. Hurst stands at the top of the steps as guests get into waiting carriages. His eyes follow William, who glides down and is intercepted by Fuller and the two young women, all fawning over him. Hurst's eyes narrow as gentlemen approach him from behind. His voice is harsh, but has a hint of jealousy.
If there's one name I despise more than Beaumont, it is Stewart.
She will fail miserably.
A glint of fear touches Hurst's eyes.
I cannot wait for that to happen.
Interior, exterior, William's carriage, night. William smiles, trying to be cordial as he escapes into his carriage and his coachman shuts the door. He leans back in his seat, a long exhale. His eyes calculate to piece together something. As the carriage departs, reveal a henchman in a black cloak watching from the darkness. His ethnicity unknown, he looks like the last man you'd want to meet in a dark alley. He dips away, vanishing into the night. Interior carriage, night. The henchman enters a carriage and sits across from an Englishman we do not see, a man whose voice reeks of power.
Where is he going?
Dublin.
Watch the girl. Leave him to me.
The henchman nods, no sign of emotion. He exits. Interior Connor's house, bedroom, night. A candle lights a room with a small pad on the floor. Connor carries a sleeping Lily in his arms, setting her on the pad. He covers her with her ratted blankie. He sits, smooths her hair out of her face, and watches her sleep. He spots her hand clasped around a bit of orange. He opens her little fingers to reveal the fully eaten carrot. Connor removes the carrot with a sigh. He runs his hands over his face, letting it drop to the floor. Hope gone. He reaches into his shirt for a rope looped around an amber ring. 3 ravens intertwined in a circle on wood. Tears well in his eyes. He kisses the ring. It's obviously so precious to him. He hasn't sold it for money or food.
I miss you so much.
Emotion crashes into him. Tears pour down his face, and he silently and uncontrollably weeps. A sobbing whisper.
Goddess, I need your help.
Fade out. End of Act 2. Act 3. Fade in. Interior Beaumont study, day. The desk is a mountain of messy paperwork stacked high. Mary pores over the ledgers. As she flips through them, her mood darkens. She grunts and throws a ledger across the room. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out the ring, eyeing it.
Pardon, miss?
She jumps. Alford and a group of servants stand in the doorway carrying neatly folded fabric in multiple colors. She absently slips the ring on her finger.
If you could choose a color.
What is this for?
Why, your gown.
Alford produces an invitation, giddily handing it over.
You've been invited to the Hurst estate for a grand ball. Everyone will be there. Perhaps even the young Lord Stewart.
I am baffled that you can think of parties at a time like this. Did you not hear Hurst when he announced to everyone that he has my father's books? I clearly have more important things on my mind.
She turns back to the paperwork, sifting through it, annoyed. Alford waves the servants out of the room.
Miss, if I could be blunt,
Yes, please, Mr. Alford.
you are of a certain social standing. These festivities are almost law. Should you, God forbid, not be able to make the deadline, I do not wish for you to be outcast socially as well.
I just need to find something.
Your father disliked parties as well, but even he realized their importance.
She flops back in the chair, bitterness in her voice.
So, how did he do it all?
For one, he did not try to do everything himself. Trade, yes, but he never handled the tenants.
Tenants. Who handles them, Alfred?
His face scrunches as if he's just eaten something sour.
An Irishman named Connor Ryan,
Where can I find him?
slithering around the village.
Prepare my carriage.
Miss, I would not recommend...
I have rent money to collect.
You will need a proper chaperone.
Did my father need a chaperone?
Alfred drops his eyes just as the butler enters.
Madam, you have a guest.
They turn. In walks William, again unexpected. Alfred grins like he's discovered a pot of gold. Mary is taken aback.
Lord Stewart.
I am terrible at giving notice, but I thought you might be home.
Well, I was about to.
What perfect timing, my lord. The madam was just about to go for a long stroll through the garden.
Actually, I was headed into town.
Even better. I'm on my way out and I will take you. Your men can follow.
He gives her a charming smile. Mary forces an anxious grin. Interior carriage, countryside, traveling, day. William and Mary sit across from one another. William at ease, Mary trying to hide her anxiousness ineffectively.
I'm happy to see you're well. Magnificent party. Keep it up and you will be the envy of Ireland.
I have a feeling not all of my guests would agree, Lord Stewart.
Society's elite thrive on shallow judgments. You are far more interesting. They are jealous. William,
Thank you for what you did for me.
I wish I could have done more, but my presence in Ireland is not widely known, and I must keep it that way, for now.
Why did you help me?
What good is power if you cannot use it to help others? So, you love to read?
Mary grins. Wit flows like a ping-pong game between them.
Is it that obvious?
It's not every day a woman quotes Voltaire.
Most men find intelligence in a woman distasteful.
I prefer a brilliant mind.
He turns to hide a blush. He studies her with intent.
What do you enjoy reading, William?
I adore fiction. I thoroughly enjoyed your tale last night.
What do you mean?
I have spent a good deal of my life surrounded by deception. I have a talent for deciphering truth. I know your secret.
Mary holds his interrogating gaze uncomfortably. Interior, Connor's bedroom, day. Connor sits on the floor against the wall, dead asleep. Bang, bang, bang! He stirs. Sun shines on his face. Bang, bang, bang! His eyes shoot open. He sits up straight. Bang, bang, bang! He jumps up.
Damn it, I'm coming!
Interior, Connor's home, day, continuous. He stumbles into the main room, grabbing Lily's slipper and blankie off the floor, tossing them on the chair. Lily sits at the table, making a crown from grass.
Papa, look at my crown.
He turns to her as she sets it on her head, distracted.
Lovely.
He opens the front door. One of his men stands, panicked.
Boss, I got bad news. Beaumont's in town, and he's not happy.
Mouth open, Connor stands paralyzed, fear filling his eyes. Interior, carriage, countryside, traveling, day. Mary is frozen. William's eyes soften. He grins.
You don't want to be in the trade business to uphold legacy. You want freedom to control your own life.
Mary exhales with relief, turning her face to recover.
I don't mean to pry. I thought this was a topic we could connect on. Truth is, I envy you. I would give anything for that freedom.
Battling misogynistic men to hold on to my own land is not the life I had imagined for myself.
What did you imagine?
Living in my home in peace, a family, someone to... a normal life I'm not sure I can ever have.
I suppose we both long for a life we think we can never have.
Eyes meet. Two different worlds connect in that vulnerable gaze. William looking more like a boy than a powerful lord.
You know what Voltaire would say?
L'homme
Man is
est
free
libre
at
au
the
moment
moment he
où il
wishes
veut
to
être.
be.
Mouths drop open. Neither of them can keep a straight face. For the first time since her arrival, Mary genuinely laughs. Interior Connor's house, day. Trying to balance standing, Connor stuffs his work boots on as fast as he can as the man paces the room, freaking out.
Soldiers are in the village harassing folks. We're about to be evicted, I know it. Harvest isn't ready. I can't lose my land.
Connor grabs his shoulders, looking him in the eye.
I won't let that happen. Gather the boys and get down there. Bang on every door and take whatever you can to sell. I'll meet you there.
The man nods and bolts out. Connor spins, searching for anything he can sell. A bowl? No. A spoon? No. He picks up Lily's blankie, considering. He tosses it.
Lily, honey, Papa has to go.
Lily jumps off her chair, donning her new crown.
Is it ready? Is it ready?
Is what ready?
Food!
He pauses in mid-search, turning to her, remembering. Sigh. He crouches to her eye level. He does not want to say this.
Papa can't feed you just yet.
But I'm hungry.
He brushes his hand across her cheek. Then he lies.
I forgot the secret ingredient in town. I need to go get it.
She smiles. He pulls her into a hug. Tears well in his eyes. He takes a deep breath and rises. He glances around his poor hovel. He has nothing. Hopelessness spreads across his face. A thought crosses his eyes. He reaches into his shirt and pulls out the ring. He eyes it, conflicted. He looks at Lily, his only possession. He closes his eyes. Then he bolts for the door, grabbing his coat on the way out. Exterior, Connor's house, day. Connor runs outside, rumbling. He looks to the horizon. The shape of two carriages move down the road, kicking up dust. He rushes over to the cart. Realization hits as he sees the wheel, broken. And where is the goddamn donkey? He turns towards a hill. The tiny shape of a donkey stands on the crest, very far away. He spins and kicks the cart.
Fuck!
He looks up. Carriages are closer. He books it down the path. Exterior, Connor's farm, roadside, day. He reaches the road just in time. He ducks below a short stone wall, then runs out, hopping onto the back of the second carriage as it passes. He ducks, hidden. Interior carriage, countryside, traveling, day.
I could use more conversations like this. Pleasant change from the usual boring topics. Perhaps we can speak further at the ball?
Oh, I am not going to that man's party.
Not the reply he expected. His eyes knowing, concerned.
You've set yourself in motion. Cannot hide now.
I am not hiding from anyone.
If you don't show your face, he will play them all against you.
What difference does it make? They haven't made it clear that I don't belong in their world. Why do...
She glances out the window, distracted. The carriage slows. Interior carriage, exterior village, main square, day. The red uniforms of armed English soldiers fill the square. Fear spreads over her face. The carriage comes to a stop.
I must go.
Mary makes for the door. William takes her by the arm, pulling her back into her seat as he sits next to her. Exterior village, main square, day. Connor jumps off the carriage. His mouth gapes. Soldiers wheel a battering ram into the square. Fear floods his face. He ducks his head and vanishes into the crowd of townsfolk. Interior carriage, village, day. Though William's voice is genuine and compassionate, Mary is uneasy being this close to him, adding to her anxiety.
Mary, here is where I can help you. This world is all about perception. Trust me when I say that you cannot play small with these people. You must control how they see you. Do they see a mouse holed up in her cage, scurrying to survive, or a fierce lion protecting her kingdom?
She turns her face to his, her visage pure, stubborn pride.
I will never be a mouse in a cage.
He leans in so close, his voice an intimate whisper.
Of course not. You're brave. To have watched your mother die in front of you like that.
Mary gapes. Whispers fill the air. William's face immediately reveals that he's let out a secret he did not wish to share. Alarm grows on Mary's face. He opens his mouth to explain. Her eyes flick to the door. She bolts. He moves to catch her, but he isn't quick enough.
I did not mean... Mary, wait!
Exterior village, main square, day, continuous. She jumps from the carriage and runs, looking back. As she turns forward, her face smashes directly into Captain Ellis. He hovers above her with a scathing sneer.
I mistook you for one of us.
She backs away, spinning around. Soldiers surround her. Caw! Caw! She glances up. A single raven circles above. Smash cut to exterior village, day, vision, future. Ravens circle above. An Irish family is being dragged out of their hovel by armed English soldiers. They scream and wail. End vision. Exterior village, main square, day. Mary blinks, shaking her head. Ellis moves towards her.
You have no right to be on my land.
In a few days, it will all be his, and this filth will be gone.
Mary spots the battering ram. Intercut flashes of Mary's visions and reality. Vision, a battering ram demolishes the building. End vision. She shakes her head, stepping back. Ellis moves towards her.
A present from the Colonel. The destruction will be breathtaking.
Vision, a mother holding her baby is whacked. End vision. Mary looks for a way out. She's caged in. Ellis moves.
I thought the Queen's Guard protected her citizens.
We protect God-fearing folk. You are a witch, and when you are without a home to hide in or draped in luxury you do not deserve, you will discover what we do to your kind.
Vision. She grasps to escape the bodies piling on top of her, but she's drowning. Light vanishes. She screams. End vision. Mary can't breathe or move. She's frozen. Ellis hovers, fingering his rifle, murder in his eyes. Suddenly, caw, caw! A swarm of ravens swoop through the scene. Birds fly between Ellis and Mary. He swats. She sees opportunity. She shoves him aside, hard, and plows through the surrounding townsfolk, sprinting for her carriage. She dives behind it, flopping against the back. She hides, trying to breathe. Thunder booms in the distance. Her eyes shoot up to a blue sky turning red-orange. Storm clouds moving in. Fear. Fade out. End of Act 3. Act 4. Fade in. Exterior village, trade stand, day. Connor's hand slaps the ring down onto the wood stand. An Irish tradesman eyes the ring, then him. Connor is anxious as hell, but he stares the man down, silently making a deal. Thunder booms in the distance. No one moves. Connor finally breaks, trying to mask desperation.
It's a family heirloom.
Don't need trinkets.
But this is a precious stone.
You want to sell something fancy? You go find yourself a rich English fuck to buy it. I'm not interested. Bring me crops. We'll make a deal.
Connor grits his teeth, nearly jumping over the stand.
Can't wait for harvest, damn it, I need money now.
The man's eyebrow raises. He turns his back without a word. Connor stares at him, dumbfounded, grabs the ring and turns with a growl, striding towards the alley. Exterior village, main square, day. Mary leans against the carriage, looking up.
Madam?
She jumps. The coachman is there with an inquisitive look. She grabs him, pulling him behind the carriage. She peers around the side. The soldiers are now across the square.
Do you know Mr. Ryan?
Yes, madam.
What does he look like?
The coachman moves his hand up and down, indicating height.
Tall, dark, bit of a temper.
She nods, a last look back, then she swiftly moves into the crowd like a precious china doll among an army of dead. Distracted, she almost crashes into the woman with her baby. The woman gives her a sharp glare and scurries away. Mary's eyes note her rags and lack of shoes. She turns and scans the village, her village, soaking in the destitute poverty around her. Her eyes aghast, sad. Emaciated, desperate faces watch her with anger and disgust. Mary's shoulders slump with the responsibility of duty. Searching, she turns down a dirt road into the path of a cart rumbling towards her. Her eyes widen with just enough time to jump out of the way, tucking down a narrow side alley. Exterior village, alley, day, continuous. Mary catches her breath, a man's angry voice. She peers down the alley at Connor, accosting the Irish wife. She tucks behind a stack of wooden crates, peeking out. Outside the hovel, the wife stands outside their door, frightened. Connor is trying to talk sense, but his tone sounds like harassment.
I need the rent, now.
You said 2 days.
It can't wait.
At the mouth of the alley, Mary's eyes narrow.
Enough.
She spots a wood plank. She grabs it and marches forward. Outside the hovel,
We have no money.
Then I need whatever you can sell.
getting closer, Mary moves like a warrior, ready for battle. The woman's eyes dart to her, but Connor doesn't notice. He backs the woman against the wall, desperate.
You have to have something, or we're all going to be evicted.
We have nothing, please.
Mary is almost on him. She raises the plank.
Fuck!
Connor punches the wall. He turns and sees Mary a split second before she can attack. The plank flies at him and he ducks, grabbing onto it. He's much quicker than she is. Mary grunts, trying to hold on. The woman seizes the moment and bolts into her hovel. Connor wrestles the plank out of Mary's hands with a grunt. He turns to her with a what the hell look on his face. As their eyes meet, a church bell rings in the distance. They stare at one another, Connor utterly captivated, Mary surprised, then relieved. She takes a step forward.
Mr. Ryan.
The sound of her accent, his awe turns into a scowl.
You're English.
He tosses the plank to the ground, almost to himself.
Shit.
He brushes past her, annoyed. Mary's stubborn pride kicks in.
What did you call me?
Keeps moving, nostrils flaring. She's forced to follow.
I am speaking to you.
He doesn't answer. She pumps her arms, trying to keep up.
Stop!
Exterior village day, continuous. They turn the corner. He strides into the square and spots her carriage. He spins, giving her a mocking bow.
Your precious carriage awaits, my lady. This is not the place you want to be lost. Go home.
She gets in his face, scolding. She's had enough of today.
I am not lost. I am here on important business, so you know.
What business? Parading through town in your fancy dress?
I would make you apologize to me for that, but clearly I'm too much of an idiot for you to bother.
Townsfolk snicker at the emasculating display. He grits his teeth, glancing at the soldiers, then steps into her face.
Don't come into my town and think you have the right to tell me what to do. Not today. I said, go home.
He brushes past her. She grabs his arm, yanking him back.
Your town? Who do you think?
He growls, face red. He's had enough. He turns and flings her over his shoulder. She dangles helplessly.
What are you doing? Put me down!
He moves to the carriage, opens the door, and tosses her inside. He slams the door in her face and storms off. Interior carriage, day. Mary wrestles with her skirts and finally sits upright with a huff, just as the coachman opens the door to check on her.
Madam, are you...
I'm fine.
That was...
I know. Follow him.
Exterior village, day. Connor strides away, seething with wounded pride. A wagon rumbles by and he jumps into the back for a ride. Thunder booms above, the sky turning red-orange. Interior, exterior, wagon carriage, countryside, traveling, day. The wagon rolls through the green countryside with speed. Connor runs his hands over his face, frustrated.
Oh, so fucked.
The carriage comes into view behind him. He squints.
What?
The carriage approaches, pulling alongside the wagon. Mary pokes her head out the window.
I need to speak with you.
He turns, ignoring her. Mary yells to the wagon driver.
Stop your wagon, sir.
The man looks confused. He clearly doesn't speak English. Connor spots his farm ahead. The wagon approaches. Exterior, Connor's farm, day. A raven sits on a tree branch. A trail of mist slowly loops around the bird as if trying to grasp it. Thunder booms. Caw! The raven flaps its wings and escapes into the air. Interior, exterior, wagon, carriage, countryside, day. Connor jumps off the wagon and strides up the dirt path. Mary huffs and bangs on the roof of her carriage. It stops. The door flies open. She dives out, following him. Exterior, Connor's farm, day, continuous. Connor turns, seeing her. He walks faster. Mary catches up.
I said I need to speak to you.
I'm busy.
She pauses, growls, picks up a rock and throws it at him. It hits him in the head. He spins, angry as hell.
Ow! What the hell do you want?
My father was Jonathan Beaumont. He's dead.
Connor immediately halts all signs of hostility. The anger on his face morphing into confusion, then sheer panic.
Shite. Is this about the rent? I don't have it all yet.
Yes, it is. How much do you have?
He pulls the pouch from his pocket, handing it over. She takes it, opening it. She turns it over. Empty. Both of them look like they might be sick. He scratches his head, trying to sound optimistic.
I'll have it as soon as harvest is ready. A few more days.
He turns, striding towards the cottage. Mary follows.
I don't have a few more days. I need the money now.
They reach the cottage. The door creaks open. Lily peeks out. Her eyes, filled with wonderment, meet Mary's. Mary pauses. Connor follows Mary gaze to the door, his voice stern.
Inside. Now. Now.
Lily bites her lip and closes the door. Connor turns to Mary. He runs a hand through his hair, trying to hold it together.
All right. I'll have to look.
He grabs a shovel, leaning against the cottage, and walks away. He steps through a wall of white mist, eerily devoured by it. Flustered, Mary grabs another shovel and runs after him. Down a row of crops. Sweat pours down Connor's face from the pressure. With expertise, he carefully slides the shovel into the dirt. Mary approaches. She slams the shovel into the earth.
Careful.
I'm helping.
It's not helping at all. Damn it, you're going to ruin the crops.
We are in a hurry.
He tries to muster up the patience to deal with her.
I'm doing my best.
This harvest needs to be ready.
I can't control Mother Nature.
I don't think you understand the dire situation here.
He finally unleashes the frustration he's been holding in.
Oh, I understand. You need your money, I get it. You don't think I'm hoping like hell that today is the day the crops are ready, so you don't have to evict us and my daughter has somewhere to eat tonight?
His voice cracks and he turns his face away. Mary is taken aback. Her face flushes with embarrassment.
That's not what I...
Lightning cracks above. They both jump and look up to caw, caw, the swarm of ravens circling above, winding through thick clouds, a red-orange sky peeking in. One bird dives, landing on a potato crop close by. Mary's body stiffens. Connor approaches the spot, spooked. He sees something. He squats, reaching for a bruised leaf. The leaf turns black and wilts before his eyes. He jumps back, watching the entire field of crops blacken like dominoes. The shovel falls from his hand. Fear seizes him.
No, this can't be happening.
He falls to his knees, digging furiously with his bare hands. Mary approaches, watching, confused, anxious. His shaking hand pulls up a bundle of potatoes. They're black and rotted. Shock floods Connor's face. Thunder booms louder. Rain begins to pour down on them. He drops them, jumps to his feet, and runs toward a hill. Mary reaches down for a potato to see the damage. Fear. Potato in hand, she lifts her skirts and runs after him. Exterior hillside, hilltop, from the vision, day. They scramble up a steep, muddy hill, grasping chunks of grass with dirty hands as they climb, pummeled by rain. They reach the hilltop. Thick mist sweeps away to reveal a patchwork of black and green as far as the eye can see, a dark storm brewing in the sky above. Fear envelops them.
Harvest. It's gone.
The storm.
Connor drops to his knees, overwhelmed with hopelessness.
We can't pay you. We can't pay.
Mary stares at the valley like a lost child for an eternity, wet hair draping over her pathetic face. She glances down, the rotted potato in her hand. She closes her eyes, defeated.
Use your magic to end their reign. Let the goddess guide you.
Her eyes open. Fear, hesitation, duty. Her eyes lose focus. Her body relaxes. Her breathing calms. She surrenders. Exterior docks, day, vision, past. Wagons in a line on the docks. Men pass Mary to load wooden crates branded Beaumont on the side onto a packet ship. She follows the men towards the ship, a man's muffled voice. A man stands up front, his back to her, a blurry silhouette. He's giving muffled orders she can't make out, his tone confident, like a veteran general commanding troops. She halts, her chest heaves. Fear threatens to take over. She collects herself, trying to be brave, determined. She moves. She walks, breathing, brave. She reaches him.
Father?
The figure turns. She holds her breath, braces herself. The face and voice come into complete focus as she sees Connor. End vision. Exterior hilltop, day. Mary's calm eyes come back to the moment. Realization. She turns to Connor. She moves, lowers beside him in the mud. Newfound self-power and confidence command her voice.
Mr. Ryan, aside from collecting rent, what do you do for my father?
I farm the land. I get the goods on a ship. He makes money.
You do handle the shipments.
I just said so. When I'm told to.
The trade business, the firm, do you handle those too?
No, but I know enough. Why?
Like a queen strategizing a battle she knows she can win.
Mr. Ryan, a boat leaves in a few days. Could you prepare a shipment and get it to the docks on time?
Does this mean I'm taking orders from you?
Yes. I need you to show me how to manage shipping, trade, and the tenants. Everything you know.
You're asking me to be you.
I am asking for your help.
He studies her, searching. There is no fear in her eyes, only clear focus and determination.
I will give you anything you want.
He studies her, her voice compassionate, filled with duty.
If we don't do this, Together, these soldiers will destroy my home. Your home. People will die. Think of your family.
Connor turns his face, her words hitting him like bricks. Mary watches the reality of their predicament sink in.
Fuck.
He breathes through it, and resistance finally crumbles.
Anything I want.
Anything.
Food. Not just potatoes. Beef, butter, grain, proper payment too. And no matter what happens, my daughter and I have a home here.
As long as I am here, so are you.
He studies her, eyes watering with tears of hope. He nods. Her eyes shine with the light of triumph. The rain stops. Mary moves to rise, and something catches her eye. The ring on her finger. It's glowing. Awe washes over her face as she turns her palm over, opening it to reveal the potato. The rot is gone. Her eyes scramble to make sense of it. Caw! Caw! She glances up at the ravens floating above them. Like a churning black mist, the swarm of blackbirds fly off. Follow the ravens as they swoop down the hill, twisting over the cottage, over the fields. They swoosh past a man in all black, his long cloak flapping in the wind. He stands rigid, watching, waiting. A hand drops to his side, a ruby red ring. It glows. Fade out. The end.